All right, I am super excited for today's video because I am announcing the release of the BumperBands 30 Custom, which are custom bands that users can go in and build their own strategies with and adjust all of the settings. You can see here I just really quickly built a strategy on Tesla. I'm going to build one on Bitcoin in just a minute, but it's super easy. You got your commission at 0.1%, which is pretty reasonable. And then we got BBWP greater than 27. And we got PMARP slope being negative. Even if I take that off, you can see it's not going to change it too much. It's actually going to be just about the same. It's a little bit better for back testing, but it works even without that. Then you got your bumper bands, and yeah, you can see it's actually a little bit better in the near term without it. And then you got your risk being 21 and 13 and your stop loss and take profit. And that's literally it. I'm not even taking the day out. If you take Fridays out, it makes the strategy a little bit better. At least it has a little bit less drawdown on it. But man, look at this strategy just as is. And I've just gone in and adjusted a few settings here. We'll jump into how to do that in a minute. But basically, yeah, these bands make it super easy for users to trade any asset across the board. You can see over here I built a Soul Strat that has the bands and just a couple things built into it, and it's crushing, doing great. And you can see I've just changed a few little settings in here, and again I'll go through and I'll go through all the details of that. But let's just build a strategy from scratch here on Bitcoin. And real fast before I jump into it, let's look into what we're dealing with. We got support A, B, C, and D, which is the support band here, and then we got resistance A, B, C, and D, which is the resistance band here. Now all four are feeding into the one support band and the one resistance band. You got your time factor, which looks at other time frames. Then you got your MA and length. And so basically these just allow you to get really custom to exactly what you are trading, because it's looking at the price action and the movement with four different bands basically and combining them into one. So let's go ahead and start this. These are kind of the default settings I have going for now. Let's throw this into the skeleton key and build a strategy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say close less than support bumper is where the entry happens, and close greater than the resistance bumper is where it'll exit. And so we can see that it's going to populate in a second. And literally this strategy has nothing on it right now except for it's not trading on Sundays and it has the band. So even as it is with just this one indicator and not being customized at all, it's looking pretty great already. If we put in some risk, which is vital to have, you can see it's going to get just a little bit better. I've just found this area of risk looks pretty great, and then we're gonna do a max stop loss and max take profit. Now both of these are pretty wide. You would probably bring them both down some in the long term, just to get a little bit more refined, because a stop loss of 12 is pretty high. But that's at least where we're starting. And then you know what, we'll put on the BBWP slope right here. And when all is said and done, I might not get to it in this video, but would probably be good to optimize the BBWP just a little bit and add a BBWP threshold. I found that all of the above will help the strategy a little bit. But let's just jump into customizing the bands. Okay, so for the time factor, I've actually made a couple notes so it doesn't take so long. I'm going to just look around here. I do know off the top of my head that going -2 on support B will make the results different. Now it's important to know that support A and B are different. So if you put these two settings exactly the same, they are going to give you different results. So just because this one's -2 V1, if you made that one -2 V1, it's not going to give you the exact same results because they're playing off different specifications. But yeah, so you can see that made it a little bit better already. You can try to change the length and the type. So it's also important to know that if you change the type and the length is on 1, you're not doing anything. So I can change that. You can see it's 114.51. It's not going to change anything at all because the length is looking at the type after it's on 2. Yeah, so you can see it's exactly the same. So don't spin your wheels by just changing the type unless your length is 2. Now if I change it here, it will make a difference for better or worse. let's do that real fast and just kind of see what's going on. It's going to keep going here. Let's try this on +1. Try to beat 114. All right, 118. That's already getting better. Yeah. Okay. So we're kind of sitting pretty good right here. If I had time, and I probably will post a final strategy in the Discord at some point soon, with all the exact settings here. But for the sake of time, I'm not gonna get super in the weeds. The other thing that's important is to kind of look at backtesting as you go and are making changes, because if you make this chart look real pretty as is and don't backtest any of it, you might be spinning your wheels and wasting your time because you're optimizing for just a short period of time. But this chart is looking pretty good for the time being. It's got a ton of trades, and we can definitely make it better. Let's look at adding a BBWP here. I'm going to say just greater than, let's start with 20 and just see where we're at. All right, 123. It's already looking better. Let's kind of go up a little bit and see what's going on. All right, so let's start with the BBWP at greater than 24, and then let's go in and kind of look at our BBWP settings here, and let's look around for a little bit more optimization. $140, so that's already looking pretty freaking great. I'm gonna try a couple things here. $34. I'm also looking at this. Well, you'll see when the chart comes back, but it takes some pretty big losses here. So at some point, we'll probably try to smooth those out. So that's a lot smoother. You can see the net profit is down a little bit more. It's not quite as high as it was. But it's actually looking a little bit more up and to the right. So sometimes you want to optimize for maximum net profit, but I also kind of want to watch and make sure the chart. Oh, there we go. Look at that. That's looking beautiful. All right, so that's going to be as far as I go right now. There's probably a little bit more optimization to be had, but dang, that's pretty freaking amazing. As you can see, Bitcoin has taken some huge hits in the recent days and weeks here, and the strategy is basically held sideways. So that's good news. While Bitcoin is, having some major corrections, the strategy is at least, holding. It's obviously you're having some losses, but if you've been trading the strategy for a while, you're still you're not going to be in the red unless you started trading, way up here at the the worst time possible. But I mean, look at that. That's already really, really great. I have not done any deep back testing yet, so we'll kind of see. Another thing to add sometimes is, or to take out, is Thursdays, or add the weekday filter that is on SolStrat right here. It's got weekday filter, and so that you can get a little bit more specific on what times you take out on what days. And so that's how I got some great results out of this chart. By instead of excluding a whole entire day, you exclude some trading hours. So I've generally noticed that on certain days when there are corrections, like on Thursdays or whatever day it would be, the corrections are over by a certain time, and so that's why you would have the weekday signal only take out a certain part of the day and let the strategy trade after that. All right, so let's look at ETH real fast here. USD, and I'm gonna just make an ETH strat, and we'll start with where this left off. There's probably gonna need to be a little bit of work done, and I'll kind of yeah. I mean, actually, it's already looking really great. What the heck? That's pretty awesome. So, yeah. Off the bat, looking great. We can go in and try to make some adjustments and see what. So we can go in and try to make some adjustments and just see if we can get any better. I'm gonna just go back to default and see if it gets any better or if it's worse. All right, so that's already looking really great. Just took that back. I'm gonna go in between and see if we can beat 141. All right, let's go +1. All right, so it looks like 0 is best right there. All right, it looks like that's actually the best. It's slowly up and to the right, which is pretty great. So let's look at percent profitable between that and being at 0. Kind of see where we're at. Yeah, so that would probably be something I would look at in deep back testing and see. It looks like it's a little bit more slow and steady right there, but you know, later on I'll look at a deep back testing and kind of see where we are at. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to make a whole lot more changes right now. Don't want to get too lost in the weeds of all of this, because you know, it probably would take several hours at least to get a good base for a working strategy. But yeah, this is not bad at all. Not bad at all. All right. So hopefully this kind of gave you a little bit of a taste and insight to the BumperBands 30 custom, and man, I'm excited for y'all to get your hands on these and start using them to build strategies. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for the subscription to these bands, and you can get a lot more alongside of it. I'm going to be releasing, you know, just way more stuff in the future, so please stay tuned. And hope you guys have a great one. Happy trading.